Imagine having a really cute girl confess her feelings to you in another language, unaware that you can understand her. Now you have to pull out your best acting skills and pretend you can't understand a word she says. At Sari Academy, everyone watches in awe as Alisa, also known as Alia, walks by. They admire her. She was born to a Russian father and her grades are the best in the school. She is excellent at sports and is a member of the student council. Just then, a second-year student named Ando approaches her, trying to rizz her. However, Alia rejects all his advances, telling him she has no interest in him. Before she leaves, she points out that his necklace violates school rules. Ando stands there speechless. As she walks into her classroom, everyone's eyes are on her, admiring her. When Alia takes her seat, she notices Masachika sleeping at his desk next to hers. She greets him, and when he doesn't respond, she hits his chair, startling him awake. Alia asks if he stayed up watching anime. Masachika explains that the anime finished airing late, and the episode discussion with his otaku buddy took longer than expected. Alia calls him insane, and he accepts it. Bro is still feeling sleepy when Alia makes a comment in Russian. He hides his shock and asks what she said, but she lies. As classes begin, Masachika realizes he forgot his workbook, and Alia allows him to join her. During class, Masachika starts dozing off again, and Alia pokes him. Coincidentally, it's when the teacher asks for an answer. So startled from Alia's aggressive poke, his arm is raised, and the teacher assumes he wants to answer. Masachika stands. He doesn't even know what the question is. When he looks to Alia for help, she points to the wrong answer. After he embarrasses himself, Alia correctly answers the question. Masachika is shocked by her betrayal, but she insists she was just pointing at the question. In the middle of their argument, she repeats a Russian word, calling him a cutie. Masachika turns red. When he asks what it means, she lies again. Little does she know, Masachika understands her perfectly. He is crashing out mentally but still keeping poker face. As a child, he often played with a Russian girl who lived near his grandfather's house, allowing him to pick up the language over time. Thanks to that, he can understand the cute Russian girl next to him who is fawning over him in Russian. Deciding to keep it a secret, he assumes she would be embarrassed to find out. The class bell rings, and Masachika pulls out his phone. Alia reminds him that using phones during school hours is prohibited, except in emergencies. Masachika claims it's an emergency, and when she asks why, he excitedly tells her he has rolled something good. Alia grabs his phone and sees a picture of Tsukuyomi, the goddess of the moon in Japanese mythology. She returns the phone to him, and as he continues to express his excitement, she tells him in Russian that she has silver hair too and calls him a cheater. Masachika is stunned and asks her what she said, but she lies once more. They engage in a playful word battle as he pretends to believe her translation. During lunch, Takeshi suddenly exclaims that he wants to be hot with the ladies, but both Masachika and Hikaru ignore him. Just then, the whole cafeteria's attention turns to the ladies from the student council as they walk in. Alisa Kuyo, Maria Kujo, who is Alisa's older sister, and Yuki Suo. Hikaru comments that the Kujo sisters are so pretty, and Takeshi adds that he'd love to know more about Maria. Hikaru informs him that Maria already has a boyfriend. She keeps turning down boys who ask her out, insisting that she is already dating someone. Masachika comments that whether or not she is dating, Takeshi doesn't stand a chance. Takeshi tells him not to get a big head just because he's friends with Alia. Masachika responds that Alia keeps snapping at him, but Takeshi says it's better than getting no response at all. Masachika feels it's thanks to the fact that he has been sitting next to her for more than a year. Takeshi then says that if he could shoot his shot with any of the three ladies, it would be Yuki, because she seems approachable and more gettable. Hikaru informs him that Yuki has turned down more guys than Alia has. As Yuki and Alia search for a place to sit, Yuki meets Masachika's eyes and approaches their table, asking if she can join them. Masachika and the boys agree, and Alia sits down too. Yuki comments that she got the same lunch as Masachika, and based on their interaction, Alia, clearly feeling jealous, questions whether they are friends. Yuki replies that they have known each other since childhood and have attended the same school together since preschool. She adds that she'd like to be friends with Alia, to which Alia responds that being friends with her wouldn't be fun. Yuki takes this as a positive response. Takeshi excuses himself, saying he's done with lunch, and Hikaru joins him, but Takeshi whispers to Masachika that the ladies are too shiny for him. No wonder he isn't popular with the ladies. After they leave, Yuki shifts closer to Masachika, making Alia even more jealous. Yuki asks him if he has considered joining the student council, but Masachika tells her he's not interested. Yuki then informs Alia that Masachika was her vice president in the student council when they were in middle school. This surprises Alia. Masachika quickly adds that it was only because Yuki asked him to run with her. Alia mutters something in Russian, violently chugs down her drink, and then slams the empty can on the table. After lunch, they say goodbye to Yuki. Alia questions, almost as if making a comment, if Yuki and Masachika are close. She adds that she never imagined any girl would want to be friends with him. Masachika points out that there's one right in front of him, her. Alia is confused for a moment, then accepts that they are friends before walking away while giggling internally. In the past, Masachika used to play with a Russian girl, and he learned some Russian from her, although he was a bit rusty. At night, they would say goodbye to each other, and she would give him a peck on the cheek. Masachika wakes up, recalling that he studied Russian diligently because he wanted to talk to her, but he doesn't even remember her name. He arrives early at school, as he is on cleaning duty with Alia. After taking care of a few things and admiring his work, Alia arrives. They greet each other, and Alia comments on how it's unusual for him to wake up early. Alia offers to wipe the board later in the day. As Masachika approaches her, he He notices a stain on her socks and assumes she stepped in a puddle, but Aliyah informs him that a truck splashed water on her. She says she has spare socks with her and then uses this opportunity to ask Masachika about his former position in the student council. Aliyah suddenly starts pulling off her socks, startling Masachika, who tries to look away. However, when she notices he isn't looking at her, she becomes mischievous and asks him to grab her spare socks from her locker. Masachika agrees, and when he brings them to her, she asks him to put them on for her. Bro is shocked, mouth wide open shocked. Aliyah teases him a bit, calling him a coward. Masachika decides to help her out. The tables turn, and now she is the one feeling nervous, blushing and all. As he puts the socks on for her, his hand brushes against her leg, causing Aliyah to panic. She kicks him away, exposing herself, and then hurriedly exits the classroom, leaving him in pain. Later that day, Masachika texts his sister telling her he suspects he might have a thing for legs. Their conversation is headless and somewhat ridiculous. Eventually, Masachika follows Aliyah to apologize. When she gives him an opportunity to speak, she calls him a leg perv in Russian. He asks for her forgiveness, and she replies that she's not angry anymore. She apologizes for kicking him and asks if he's okay. When she tries to touch him, he gets nervous and his mouth starts running like diarrhea, thanking her for giving him a peek into the promised land. Aliyah becomes embarrassed and punches him away, cursing at him in Russian before running off. To her surprise, Masachika chases after her, still apologizing. After running around the school for 10 minutes, both of them are tired and take a break. As a peace offering, Masachika hands her favorite drink while being dramatic. She takes a sip and then offers it to Masachika, but in Russian. Masachika realizes she wants to indirectly get some mouth-to-mouth action. When he asks for the meaning of what she said, she lies once again. Masachika goes to help Yuki sort out things in the storage room where Aliyah is also present. After they finish, they all head to the student council office. Yuki and Aliyah thank Masachika for his help, and when Kenzaki, the student council president, arrives, he thanks Masachika as well. Before Masachika leaves, Kenzaki offers to buy him dinner. Masachika initially declines, but Yuki persuades him to go. Kenzaki also invites Yuki and Aliyah along. During dinner, they engage in a conversation about Masachika possibly joining the student council, and Masachika learns that Aliyah is running for student council president against Yuki. After dinner, they part ways, with Kenzaki walking Yuki home and leaving Masachika with Aliyah. Masachika walks Aliyah home before returning to his house. He sees a female shoe at the door and finds Yuki chilling on his couch. She welcomes him and tells him she'll be staying there for the night. Yuki is Masachika's little sister, but has been pretending to be his childhood friend at school. The next morning, Yuki wakes Masachika by sitting on him. She's quite the annoying sibling. She tells him that next time she will hide under his bed to scare him. They have plans for a date that day. While spending time together at the mall, Masachika and Yuki notice that Aya has been spying on them. Yuki decides to go talk to her, and Masachika has no choice but to tag along. Caught off guard, Aya says she spotted them a few minutes ago but couldn't find the right moment to say hi. They both know this is a lie. Aya claims she came for clothes shopping. Yuki invites her to have lunch with them, but Masachika refuses, saying the place serves super spicy ramen and that Yuki might not be able to handle it. Despite his concerns, she insists on joining them. When they arrive at the restaurant, Aliyah realizes, from the aesthetics of the place, that she is in for a huge mistake. However, her ego prevents her from backing out. Yuki explains the menu to Aliyah, who decides to order the least spicy option. Yuki and Masachika decide to go for the same thing too. While waiting for their meals, Aliyah notices that Yuki is dressed boyishly. Yuki responds that she was in bed with Masachika that morning, causing him to spit out the water he was drinking. She adds that she wanted to wear something different, so she borrowed one of his shirts. Masachika explains to Aliyah that Yuki just showed up at his place and jumped into his bed by herself. Aliyah doesn't buy it. Their meal is ready and Aliyah is scared to even try it. She summons courage and takes a first bite. She clearly cannot handle the spice but tells Masachika she's okay when he asks. She continues to torture herself with the food even when Masachika asks her to stop. Yuki then suggests she add a seasoning to make it even spicier, wearing an evil face. Aliyah reluctantly agrees, saying that one drop won't kill her, but it almost does as she can't help but scream in agony moments later. Masachika has to get her ice cream to calm her nerves while Yuki goes off to buy something. Masachika uses this time to ask Aliyah why she wants to be the student council president. She snaps that she does not need a reason to aim higher. When he inquires if she has a running mate, she tells him she would just pick a random person, as she only needs a vice president on paper. Masachika has flashbacks of when his sister was running for president. Once Aliyah finishes, she asks Masachika to help her shop for clothes. Knowing she doesn't have friends to join her, Masachika agrees to help. While shopping, Aliyah wonders why Masachika is being so nice. She assumes it's because he doesn't think she stands a chance at becoming president. Aliyah picks out numerous outfits to try on, and Masachika has to tell her what he thinks of each one. Determined to impress him with her fashion sense, she changes into the first outfit, not sure of what Masachika's reaction would be. To her surprise, Masachika tells her she looks great and compliments her very well. Aliyah is shocked by his response, and Masachika is also pretty embarrassed. Aliyah confesses that she didn't know Masachika had it in him to compliment a girl right, but she thinks he probably got used to it because of Yuki. She continues to try on different outfits, and Masachika praises her each time, boosting her confidence. For her next outfit, she chooses something smaller and a bit revealing, thinking that Masachika would like it. Just as she poses for him, she realizes Yuki is there too. Embarrassed, Aliyah quickly retreats, hugging her knees and wishing to disappear in Russian. Masachika interprets what she said to Yuki. On the train ride home, Alya is still feeling embarrassed. When Yuki and Masachika get off at their stop, Alya doesn't think much about it and says goodbye, only to realize moments later that they both got off together. Alya gets home and Maria greets her with a hug. Maria asks how her day went, and Alya shares that she met Masachika and Yuki. She seems rather down, and Maria notices that Alya gets worked up when it comes to Masachika. Maria expresses her happiness that there is finally a boy who can move Alya's heart and asks if Alya likes him. Alya insists that they are just friends. Alya then narrates to Maria how they became friends. 6 years ago in Russia, Alya's class was assigned a group project, and she was excited about it. She went around making research, but her group members slacked off, claiming they had plenty of time. They even got into a fight because of it. Eventually, another group performed better and got the best results. Alya felt upset that her group hadn't taken the project seriously, but she blamed herself for expecting more from them. She concluded that no one shared her level of drive and then decided to do everything by herself. Fast forward to when she transferred to Siri Academy, everyone was impressed that she passed the very difficult transfer exams. In class, she noticed Masachika sleeping beside her and decided to wake him up. They introduced themselves, and Alya observed that in different classes, he either forgot his textbook, was too lazy to run, or was asleep. She concluded that even in a prestigious school like Siri Academy, some students were slackers. During the school festival, while everyone was making plans for the event, Alya was focused on stitching her dress. As closing time approached, she told two girls who approached her that she would stay and work some more. The girls murmured among themselves that it was just a festival, and Alya felt like what happened at her previous school was happening again. She injured her hand again, but was still determined to finish. Just then, Masachika walked in and suggested she go home, assuring her that they could all handle everything together the next day. Alya insisted that she would stay and finish her work. Masachika informed her that the handicraft club had agreed to help with the costumes and that he had received permission to stay late at school. He urged her to go home, stating that there was no point in grinding away alone. Upset by his words, Alya explained that she just wants to make it a good attraction if she's participating in it, and she refused to compromise on the quality. After saying her piece, Masachika told her that school festival attractions aren't meant to be created alone. The whole point is to work together to create something special. Alya was at a loss for words. Masachika apologized, saying he understood she was doing her best and appreciated her effort. She ultimately decided to go home. The next day, festival preparations began, with Takeshi leading the charge and motivating everyone. Everyone played their part, and after a successful festival, they were awarded for their efforts. At the after-party, Alya found Masachika sitting on the steps and asked to join him. He agreed, and while everyone danced, they had a long discussion. At the end of their conversation, Alya thanked Masachika for helping her realize that if she had tried to do everything alone, she would have never experienced the school festival the way she did. She also apologized for lashing out at him. Masachika assured her it was okay, and that he hadn't put in half the work she or Takeshi had. Alya then asked how she could repay him, and he said that he would like to call her by her nickname, Alya. When she asked about what he would gain from it, he replied that he would enjoy the glory of being the only guy who called her by her nickname. Just then, 3 boys approached Alya, asking her to dance with them. While they argued over who would get the dance with her, Masachika took her hand, claiming she was already taken. He led her to the dance floor, and she felt her heart racing. The next day, in school, Masachika was once again asleep. He woke up to find Alya looking at him like he was human garbage, and she remarked in Russian that just when she thought he was cool last night, after her narration, Maria now understands what made Alya fall for Masachika. However, Alya continues to argue that it's not like that, insisting they are just friends. Maria, looking at a locket, says she can relate since she and Sukun were like that. The next day at school, Masachika goes to the student council office to cover for Yuki. Maria introduces herself, stating that he will be going shopping with her. She takes his hand, mentioning that it is a pleasure to meet Alya's friend, but then she suddenly stares at him in shock. Curious, she asks for his name, and after he answers, she seems even more surprised. Maria gets a hold of herself and apologizes. She then says they should get going in Russian. Masachika asks what she said, and she translates for him. They are supposed to buy tea, but Maria wants to buy plush toys for everyone in the council. Masachika tries to talk her out of it, and she eventually settles for just one, a kitty plushie that she feels resembles Alya. As they continue their journey, Masachika wonders if Maria is always this energetic, contemplating how much Alya must be going through having her around. They soon arrive at the tea shop. Masachika offers to hold the plushie for her while she gets the tea. The shop owner gives her a red tea to taste, and she takes it to Masachika to try. Meanwhile, Masachika is reminded of his mom because of the red tea. He then remembers when his father told him that he had decided to live separately from their mother. Masachika is sad, but decides to go with his father. Yuki, who is sick, decides to stay with their mother. Maria notices his sad face. She tells him he looks terribly pained and hugs him to comfort him, but ends up burning his back with the hot tea and eventually spilling it. When they return to school, the first thing Kenzaki comments on is the plushie. They show him the supplies they got, and Kenzaki thanks Masachika, saying that if he had left to Maria, the student council office would have become a theme park. He then asks if Masachika has changed his mind about joining the student council yet. Masachika replies no, but mentions that he doesn't mind helping out occasionally. Maria also tries to persuade him to join, but Masachika insists that he isn't worthy of being a student council officer. Kenzaki tells him that he was a fine vice president in middle school, but Masachika says he didn't have a goal and didn't use his position to achieve anything. Kenzaki Kensuke explains that there's nothing wrong with that, sharing that he joined the council to win the heart of the girl he loved. Masachika is surprised. Kenzaki shows him a picture of himself from the past and tells Masachika that he wasn't good at anything and didn't like school very much until he fell for Chizaki, who is now his girlfriend and the vice president of the student council. He worked hard to become a man worthy of being her boyfriend, and becoming the council president was part of that. Kensuke points out that Masachika doesn't need a suitable reason to join. Maria adds that it doesn't matter why he joins, only what he does with his time there. Masachika recalls a moment from middle school when Yuki told him to always be there for her, and he tells him he'll think about it. He then asks about Alya, and they inform him that she went to settle a dispute between the baseball and soccer teams. After getting a gist of the dispute from Kensuke, Masachika excuses himself, deciding to check in case they're fighting. Meanwhile, Alya is trying her best to mediate the dispute, but the players aren't listening, and their argument drowns out her voice. Feeling helpless, Alya calls out for help, though in Russian. Just then, Masachika walks through the door. He announces that the student council sent him for backup and introduces himself as student council's general affairs. From Masachika's point of view, as he is approaching the soccer team room, he hears their argument alongside Alya trying to calm them down. He knows it won't work since both sides are too heated, but he says that it's good experience for her. Telling her to hang in there, he turns to leave when he hears Alya's cry for help. Alya is surprised to see him, but with his support, they're able to reach a perfect conclusion and settle the dispute. On their way back, Alya asks him how he handled it so easily, and he explains that he just used the information he had to propose the right solution. As they continue their walk, they meet Kenzaki waiting for them. Masachika realizes that it was all a setup to persuade him to join the student council, but he decides to go ahead and join anyway. Kensuke is pleased and tells him to come to the office right away. On their way home, Masachika talks about how he feels he got played into joining the council. Alya interrupts him, asking if he decided to join the council to help Yuki with her election. Masachika questions if she would give up on becoming president if he says yes, but she firmly states that she's determined to run, even if it means going up against him. Masachika knows she wouldn't give up. She has always been driven. He declares his intention to support her, assuring her he will be there for her. Alya is at a loss for words. Masachika stretches out his hand, asking her to take it. So, moved to tears, Alya takes his hand, and he tells her they are a team. She says something in Russian. In that moment, Masachika recalls his childhood friend, realizing he still has the ability to feel all mushy. Alya picks up that he's thinking of another girl and tightens her grip on his hand. He tries to explain, but Alya thinks he was thinking about Yuki. She tells him to take her hand and connects it with his face, causing Masachika to fall. Defeated, Alya offers her hand to help him up, and they continue their journey home. Masachika comments that it's the first time a girl has ever slapped him. Alya is worried whether he hurt himself in the fall, but he assures her he's okay. They share a light-hearted conversation until Alya arrives at her house. She kisses Masachika goodnight and goes inside, while he stands frozen like a statue, hands on his cheek. On Masachika's walk home, he reflects on everything he said to Alya on school grounds and finds it all corny. He recalls Alya saying she loves him in Russian and realizes that she was genuinely flirting with him, contrary to his initial belief that she was just playing a "does he know what I'm saying?" game. He brushes it off, thinking that she must have gotten caught up in the moment just like he did. Masachika believes she's probably cringing as well. Remembering his parents' arguments, he feels love is a flimsy emotion that isn't worth pursuing. Upon arriving home, he notices Yuki's shoes but recalls that she told him she would be busy. He then realizes that Yuki must have been part of the plan to get him into the student council, which is why she lied about being busy so he would cover for her. He opens the bathroom door to find Yuki cleaning herself. He doesn't look away, and Yuki quickly covers herself, calling him a perv. Masachika knows she set the whole scene up, knowing she probably got out when she heard him closing the front door. Yuki stops pretending and drags Masachika back when he tries to leave. She asks if he isn't curious to know why she did it. She explains that they have lived together for years and he has never walked in on her changing, saying it should happen at least once in their lives. They engage in a playful argument and she tells him it's her way of making it up to him for tricking him. Masachika bursts her bubble by saying that showing her body wouldn't make any difference. He tells her that showing off is a turn-off and that peeking is where the fun really lies. After they leave the bathroom, Yuki stays in Masachika's room to dry her hair. She asks if he has decided to join the council, which gives him the chance to inform her that he has decided to support Alya instead of her for president. Yuki dramatically complains that Alya has taken her brother away from her, cussing him out, and they have an unserious argument for a while. Eventually, she tells him to make it up to her by brushing her hair. With no other choice, Masachika agrees to help her. Masachika apologizes for choosing Alya, but Yuki tells him not to apologize, as it's now a sibling rivalry. Masachika assures her that he isn't sick of her. As Yuki leaves, she reassures Masachika that he can come back to her anytime he gets tired of Alya. Outside his door, she feels relieved that he has found someone who can motivate him, but declares that she still won't give up. The next day, Masachika wakes up alone, without any disturbance from Yuki, and he feels she's really hurt and imagines her crying in bed. He figures he has to make it up to her. Once his feet touch the ground, Alya grabs his leg from under his bed. His scared reaction is funny to her. When she tries to get out, she realizes she's stuck and asks Masachika for help. Instead, he tries to suffocate her. At school, Alya is on edge, waiting for Masachika to show up. She tries to act casual but gets caught off guard when she hears him greeting his friends. He also says hi to her, and she notices he's glowing. She realizes he doesn't seem like his usual self and thinks he looks really hot, but immediately scolds herself for having such thoughts. In class, Masachika doesn't doesn't doze off. Alya assumes he's stepping up his game for her. She remembers all he told her the previous night. Suddenly, a ball comes flying toward her and she serves it like a pro. Meanwhile, Masachika gets hit in the head with a ball and has to step outside for a little break. Alya goes out to meet him and asks if he's okay, genuinely concerned about him. Alya checks to see if Masachika is okay, but his gaze wanders to her chest area. He can't take his eyes off her and thinks to himself that peeking is really where the fun is. Alya then tells him to drink some water and they walk to a nearby tap. After he finishes drinking, the way Alya drinks has an effect on him and he has to cool his head, literally. Maria approaches and helps Masachika dry his hair with her towel. However, Alya drags him away, saying they need to head back. They walk hand in hand and Masachika thinks Alya might cuss him out, but to his surprise, she simply asks if he's okay. That's when Masachika realizes Alya believes he got wet to cool off the part the ball hit him. He tells her that he's fine and shifts away when she tries to touch him. He wonders if she has entered a lovey-dovey phase. Curiously, he asks why she's being so nice to him. Alya responds that he hasn't been himself all day and that she's worried something might be wrong. Masachika guesses he's that way because he wasn't fully over letting Yuki down. He tells her nothing is wrong, just that he skipped breakfast that morning. Alya's face flushes red as that's not what she was thinking at all. Masachika adds that he had a good night's sleep, which is why he didn't doze off in class. Alya becomes upset she couldn't sleep last night, not after what happened. Masachika tries to reason with her, but she walks away, saying she was foolish for worrying about him. She tells herself there's no way she is in love with him. After school, Masachika asks Alya if she wants to go to the student council office together, but she ignores him and leaves. He decides to join her anyway. Right in front of the office, they see some guys from the baseball and soccer teams apologizing before running away. As they approach and open the door, Chizaki stands fierce with a bamboo sword. Masachika considers running, but she stops him, apologizing for thinking the soccer and baseball guys had come back. Alya asks what they did, and Chisaki replies that she was scolding them for giving Alya a hard time when she went to settle their dispute. It dawns on Masachika why the boys call her boss. Chizaki looks to Kanzaki for support, but he just laughs and jokes about the situation, which makes her start hitting him. Masachika thinks it's an adorable sight, or maybe not. Maria walks in, apologizing for being late, and tells the couple not to play too much in the office. Chizaki then apologizes to Kanzaki for hitting him hard, but he assures her it's okay. Masachika doesn't see how any of that is romantic, but Alya tells him to watch his mouth. Masachika cracks a pun related to Chizaki and the reason they call her boss, which Alya finds hilarious. Maria comments on how close they seem, causing Alya to immediately switch up. Just then, Yuki arrives, and they begin the student council meeting. Masachika introduces himself as the new member responsible for general affairs and as Alya's running mate for the election. Masachika concludes his introduction and Tioya welcomes him. For a start, Masachika is to follow and assist Maria. Being that he has been a vice president before, Tioya is positive Masachika will catch up quickly. In the meantime, Masachika is to work with the other members, with part of the reason being that they're heavily short-staffed. Yuki mentions heading to the art club to discuss their upcoming exhibition. She says she'll need the company of Alya as the treasurer since she suspects that the budget will come up. Alya agrees to go along, but Masachika knows something is about to go down, hopefully not teeth. Alya suspects she and Yuki have the same thing in mind, so she speaks first. She asks to speak with Yuki, and when Yuki agrees, they head into an empty classroom. Alya mentions she is running for president with Masachika, but Yuki says she's already aware. Alya adds that she has no intention of apologizing, and Yuki is fine with that because although she doesn't like the fact that Masachika isn't on her side, it is fully gratification. She isn't mad at Alya as well. Alya is curious but pauses as she's about to ask what's on her mind. As though knowing what was on Alya's mind, Yuki affirms that she loves Masachika. She boldly stresses the fact like she is trying to bait Alya into confessing her feelings for Masachika. Yuki is plain and asks Alya if she has feelings for Masachika. Alya stutters and is fidgety. She says Alya is a dear friend. She tries to evade the question, stating that she won't talk about it. Yuki has expectations. She pressures Alya into spewing. Alya is indecisive on whether or not she likes Masachika, but at the same time mentions that she wouldn't let Yuki have him. Concluding, she states that Masachika is hers. Yuki is a bit satisfied with what she has gotten so far, and as though she's saving the interrogation for another time, she suggests they continue their walk to the art club. Just before they leave, Yuki requests to call Alya her casual name, and since Alya doesn't have a problem with it, she agrees. Heading out, Yuki asks Alya to address her with her casual name as well. Alya is still under the after effects of the confrontation, feeling like she said something crazy back there. Masachika and Maria are neck deep in their work. Unlike Maria, who is, according to Masachika, performing like a well-oiled machine, Chisaki is clumsy. Tuya even has to find a way to get her to be someone else's problem. Tuya apologizes on her behalf, explaining to Masachika that although she's always like this, she's an important asset to them in club and committee discussions. Masachika totally understands, as everyone has flaws. Maria suggests a break and decides to make tea. She loves making tea and does it on her own, refusing Masachika's offer to help. While she's on it, their conversation on Russian doctrine sparks Maria's curiosity about his knowledge of Russian culture. Masachika says he watched a lot of Russian movies with his grandfather, which is his cover-up story. Following the Russian style, she serves it with jam. Masachika tries the tea and it's delicious, and in that moment, it reminds him of his mother's love for tea. Soon, Yuki and Alya are back. Alya takes her seat next to Masachika. With her excuse excuse being that she doesn't want to sit at the corner of the table following some superstition of bad luck. Reading the energy Alya is giving and the look on Yuki's face, Masachika is certain that something really happened. He confirms the superstition with Maria, who explains that unmarried people who sit at the corner of the table will remain unmarried according to the superstition. Maria teases Alya, asking if she has found someone to marry, but Alya asks her to drop it, saying she just doesn't want to sit there. She adds in Russian that marriage isn't in the plan yet. Although Masachika is on the same page with that, given that they are still teens, something about the way she said it makes them all weirded out. The day is over and they conclude the work for the day and thereafter say goodbyes. Masachika and Alya walk home together. Masachika still suspects something happened between Alya and Yuki. He makes a stop and suggests they stop by the nearby restaurant to discuss some issues regarding the elections. Alya is fine with that, but expresses her disappointment that it isn't a date in Russian, which Masachika can very much understand. Alya's meals are all surgery contents, and in her defense, she claims that she is exhausted and needs a lot of sugar. Masachika takes the opportunity to ask if anything happened between Yuki and her, but Alya disaffirms in the most disbelievable way. She bluntly asks Masachika if he and Yuki are dating, and Masachika highlights that they are not. Masachika explains to Alya, who is still confused, that Yuki is only messing with her to see her reactions. Masachika gets to business, bluntly mentioning that they can't beat Yuki. She's currently the frontrunner in the election and has a lot of influence. The number of contestants has reduced a lot as people have given up on trying to beat Yuki. While he continues his rant about the elections, Alya is focused on the fact that they're basically on a date and wonders why he's insensitive about that. She starts gulping up her food to get Masachika's attention, and it works. She decides to set the mood herself, offering to feed Masachika. After much convincing, Masachika receives the food from Alya, and the rest of the people in the restaurant look like they've just seen a ghost. While staying there, Masachika notices Taniyama walk by. Alya calls his attention back to their strategic discussion on how to beat Yuki. Masachika mentions that they can't face her head on. He adds that they need to run a campaign that appeals to the students as well as rally them to their side. Following President Tuya's story, his contesting for the position was first published as a joke, but as time went by, he changed for the better. People seeing his progress rallied by him. The bottom line is to make the public see that Alya puts the work into achieving what she wants. Just then, Masachika thinks back to the spoon Alya fed him with, still wondering what to do with it. Alya wonders about the same thing, but Masachika comes up with a plan. He makes an order and also requests a new spoon. As everything gets delivered, Alya mentions he didn't have to go through the trouble. Following her belief that Masachika was fond of girls, she teases him about getting flustered for such a minor thing. Masachika is surprised at how casually she is taking the scenario. Alya says in Russian that Masachika is the only one she'd do it with, and Masachika is honored, thanking her in his mind. He wouldn't want to blow his cover now, would he? Back to business. Their first opportunity to show the students Alya's efforts is the term's closing ceremony. Targeting to present a speech, Alya wonders what she should make her speech up of, but Masachika assures her she'll be okay being herself. Masachika's meal looks really spicy, like the main meal is just mashed peppers. He confirms to Alya when she asks that the food is good. As he offers to give her some, he remembers that she's not good with spicy foods. Alya, on the other hand, doesn't want to back down as that'll expose the fact that she can't handle spicy food. Unfortunately, a whole chili pepper comfortably sits in the portion she is given by Masachika. Masachika notices this, but his dark side gets the better of him. Alya digs in and now probably has the same experience as an amateur fire-breathing dragon. The effect lasts even until they're way back, but Alya assures Masachika she is fine as he asks. Alya is curious about what Yuki will do and who her new partner would be, but Masachika doesn't think it matters as Yuki is already popular on her own. He mentions that they're cooked if Yuki brings along people like Taniyama. Taniyama once closely rivaled Yuki back in middle school. He wonders in his mind if she gave up on being a president. Whoever Yuki chooses, they'll know eventually. The next day, Yuki introduces her new partner, Ayano. Ayano introduces herself, but Masachika looks uneasy. From his reaction, Yuki's threat level has increased. It's like being down 4 goals and then Messi decides to join the other team. Great, now you're really doomed. It seems as though Masachika and she are familiar with each other. Masachika strolls down the hallway, only to be interrupted by the call of his name. Ayano pops up, startling Masachika, who didn't see her earlier. After apologizing for startling him, Ayano asks for a moment of Masachika's time. As the discussion commences, Masachika asks Ayano to get straight to the point. Confirming that Masachika has decided to run with Alya in the presidential elections, Ayano mentions that Gensei, Yuki's grandfather, isn't pleased with the turn of events. He can't believe Masachika will stand in Yuki's way after abandoning the Suo name. Recalling everything Gensei said about his decision to go with his father, Masachika hates the fact that he's now trying to behave like their family. Ayano came to confirm on her own accord that Masachika is running with Alya. She mentions that her job is to assess anyone who's a threat to Yuki. Ayano questions the trust she had in Masachika, that he'll never do anything to hurt Yuki, and Masachika mentions that it isn't his intention to hurt Yuki. She's curious as to why Masachika is willing to betray and hurt his sister for Alya, and suspects it's because he has special feelings for her. Masachika clarifies that this isn't so, mentioning that he promised to help Alya win the elections and he intends to do that. Masachika asks Ayano to deliver a message to Gensei, telling him to take up any issues he has with him in person and not bother Yuki. Bro is really aura farming here. Ayano requests that Masachika promise his love for Yuki will remain the the same, and Masachika mentions that whatever happens, Yuki is still the most important person in the world to him. He is determined to do this. Ayano is surprised but understands and concludes their discussion, taking her leave. Masachika can sense her disappointment. In class, Hikaru and Takeshi are on an idol magazine. In the course of their discussion, they ask Masachika which of the idols is his favorite. He isn't into those kinds of things, but after being pressured, he is forced to choose one. The idol he chooses awfully resembles Alia and Takeshi, and Hikaru feels he's into those types of girls. They also suspect he's making a move on Alia since he addresses her by her nickname. Masachika corrects and explains that he doesn't see Alia that way. Just then, Alia arrives. She basically judges Masachika for being with such a magazine even when he shifts the blame to Takeshi. They change the topic of their discussion, now discussing their type of girl. Alia somehow finds a way to fit herself into the description Masachika gives, but her happiness doesn't last as Takeshi and Hikaru start talking badly about her characteristics. Unknowingly, Masachika notices Alia is hurt, and they try to correct this, but Takeshi does too much, which only worsens things. Alia seizes the magazine and takes her leave. Ayano reports everything about her discussion with Masachika to Yuki. She still idolizes him, and from the way she talks, Yuki suspects she has feelings for Masachika. Ayano, however, says she doesn't, and according to her, just serving him is enough for her. She sounds like a depressed AI who just wants to stand on business. Ayano tells Yuki that according to Masachika, she is still the most important person to him, and this makes Yuki really excited. Yuki is okay with Masachika being on the opposing team, as that'll make for a better challenge than Alia, whom she doesn't see as a threat. She's curious about what change Masachika will affect, because things aren't looking good for his team. She is filled with excitement as she'll face off against her brother, who has always been better than her in everything. It's almost like leisure time at the student office as they play a card game. Yuki absolutely wrecks Alia, as she has the advantage in trickery and high IQ games. Masachika, Toya, and Chisaki watch and assess the game. They deduce that Alia is just too easy to read. Ayano serves them some drink, and Toya compliments her unique behavior. As he suspects, Ayano confirms that she was trained by her grandparents, who used to work for Yuki's grandparents. According to her, it isn't a family business. She chose to do this because she admires her grandparents. She mentions that she started on the path back in 2nd grade, with part of the reason being that she had realized that Yuki is worth serving. There was a brief stutter there as she was about to say Masachika instead of Yuki. Masachika seems upset that she almost slipped up and asked to speak with her privately. Away from others, Ayano apologizes for almost outing his secret, and Masachika is fine as long as the others didn't notice. Toya asks if not making a sound is a skill and being an attendant, and Ayano answers that his grandparents severely taught her that. Maria later joins them as according to her, Alia asked her to leave. Alia and Yuki now face off intensely, and Toya hopes they don't end up fighting, but Masachika and Maria can somehow tell that Alia is enjoying herself. They run out of drinks, and Maria goes to get some together with Masachika. To their surprise, Toya memorizes their orders just by hearing them once. On their way, Maria thanks Masachika for siding with Alia. Alia hasn't really had anyone to lean on, and Maria thanks Masachika for being there for her. Masachika asks Maria if she deliberately hides her responsible side from Alia. Maria pauses as if preparing for a typical dramatic speech. She doesn't deny that she tends to be a bit relaxed around Alia, but she acknowledges that Alia is very hardworking and focused when she sets her mind to something, which Maria admires about her. All she does is for the benefit of Alia as a good sister, and Masachika commends her for that, promising not to tell Alia about anything they discussed. Maria also mentions that Masachika also tries to be lax, but he states that, unlike her, he doesn't have a good reason and is just looking out for himself. Maria pats him on the head, which is uncomfortable for him. He wonders why she's able to break through his shell. Alia is walking down the hallway at school when a certain schoolmate calls her attention. She introduces herself to be Sayaka and asks to discuss with Alia. She criticizes Alia for running alongside Masachika, deeming it a classless move. She accuses Alia of stealing the running mate that Yuki had targeted. The situation escalates into a full-blown quarrel, attracting the attention of other students. Masachika rushes to the scene to intervene. He explains to Sayaka that he joined Alia of his own accord, but Sayaka doesn't believe him. She wonders what motivated him to team up with a transfer student. Masachika mentions that he spoke with Yuki about it and that she is fine with it, adding that whatever Sayaka is going on about is wrong. Sayaka is asked to apologize to Alia, but she believes Masachika is in the wrong. Sayaka approaches him and challenges him to a student congress. It almost seems like she requested trial by ritual combat or some serious duel, and the news spreads throughout the school. Sayaka is very serious about this, which comes as a shock to Masachika. Sayaka believes that Masachika should not be in the student council or the presidential election. Alia insists on taking part in the congress with Masachika because they are a team. After much conflict, Sayaka finally agrees and plans to humiliate both of them. Tuya announces the topic of the student congress debate to both Masachika and Alia. He doesn't get why they're agreeing to do it, but they explain that winning the debate will gain them legitimacy to compete in the elections. Alia adds that Sayaka insulted them both, so she needs an apology. Masachika sees this as an opportunity to introduce themselves. Tuya understands and decides he'll make the announcement. Yuki volunteers to draft the announcement and wishes them good luck. Masachika and Alia study hard in anticipation of the debate. Amidst the study, Alia asks Masachika if he and Sayaka are on bad terms, wondering why she did all that she did. Masachika explains that they had mutual respect for each other, and he doesn't know why she did it. His best guess is that she feels he is joining the elections for nothing important, coupled with the fact that he ditched Yuki for a stranger. Alya feels guilty as this is all because of her. She is determined to win, and Masachika is on the same page. On the day of the debate, Sayaka's partner Nonoa meets them. She is all upbeat and introduces herself to Alya. She goes on ahead after some small talk. Masachika mentions that Nonoa is Sayaka's childhood friend. She is popular and influential, which is such an asset. He asks Alya to focus on Sayaka. The students don't really know much about Alya, only that she has good grades. Alya is on the stage, unsure if she can do it. She is conflicted, and the crowd doesn't get along with her presence either. Just then, Masachika calls her, snapping her out of her nervousness. He helps her calm down and gets her head in the game, remembering their goal. Tuya announces and starts the debate. Sayaka starts strong. Her points are concise and fact-based. Using the POV of the students, she's again to get them to her side easily. It is now time for the opposition. Alya confidently goes to the stage, and following Masachika's advice, she begins. She debunks Sayaka's argument and is doing so well that the crowd is divided between the two sides. Masachika is proud of this. She concludes her speech and a round of applause follows. The real debate starts, and Sayaka comes along with thought-provoking questions, but Alya answers them all. This is getting troublesome for Sayaka as she underestimated Alya all this while. Just then, Nonoa's scheme creating chaos in the audience commences. This distracts Alya's flow. She's now confused and stutters, not knowing how to respond. Masachika steps up in style to help out. Taking the stage, Masachika ends the debate in an upbeat manner. Using Tuya as an example, he clarifies the need to let the students choose their own leaders. His speech is quick and carries the crowd along. Sayaka is agitated and rushes out of the scene, and following right after is Alya. Nonoa accepts defeat and the motion is withdrawn. As Sayaka continues weeping as she runs, Alya holds her back. Surprised that she's crying, Alya asks her to air out her mind. Sayaka feels hurt and betrayed because Masachika chose to support Alya over Yuki, breaking the bond they once shared as a close trio, which she admired. She had made peace with losing to them and abandoned her dream because of them, and she took her frustration out on Alya. Nonoa arrives at the scene and assures Alya that she has things under control. Just before leaving, Alya mentions that she's sure Masachika made the right choice and she'll work hard to prove it to Sayaka. As Alya leaves, Nonoa advises Sayaka to apologize to Alya when she's all calm. Yuki has been watching it all. Feeling like they won't stand a chance against her, she claims Masachika's team lacks killer instincts and it'll be their downfall. Her big boss act gets ruined as Ayano doesn't catch on early and is frank, admitting that Masachika and Alya performed wonderfully. Alya talks to Masachika about everything Sayaka said. She promises to work hard to prove that he made the right choice, and Masachika promises to do the same. Alya asks Masachika why he chose to run with her and not Yuki. Although his explanation isn't clear to Alya, he explains that he helped Yuki mostly because he felt obligated by his guilt, the guilt of leaving her behind. Things are different now according to Masachika, and he is doing this because he wants to. He asks Alya why she is running with him and she replies in Russian, her usual undercover comments. At the Su mansion during dinner, Jensei brings up Yuki's school politics. He knows that she may not be as gifted as Masachika, but insists that she must not lose to him. He emphasizes that she needs to live up to the expectations placed upon her, as she now holds the responsibilities that Masachika ran away from. Yuki's mother, Yumi, sits quietly through the conversation. Once dinner is over, Yumi approaches Yuki and asks if she is still close to Masachika. Yuki says yes, which seems to satisfy Yumi, who had been worried. Later in her room, Yuki asks for a hug from Ayano, who readily gives her one, helping Yuki feel better. At school, some boys are praising Masachika for his victory in the Congress and ask him a few questions. He goes to his seat first and exchanges greetings with Alya before redirecting the questions to her. The boys hesitate, but Masachika signals Hikaru to ask a question, which Alya answers. Masachika is pleased to see her interacting. However, when the other boys begin to mock Sayaka, Alya becomes uncomfortable and asks Masachika for a moment outside. He makes an excuse and follows her. In the student council office, Alya and Masachika discuss Sayaka's situation. Masachika argues that they did nothing wrong, but Alya wants to help Sayaka, and he finally agrees, reminding her that he's there for her. Alya is touched. Meanwhile, Masachika senses a disturbance. It's Tuya and Shizaki hiding. He decides to pretend ignorance to their rom-com, but Alya is about to initiate their own rom-com scene. To divert her attention, Masachika calls out the hiders, who sheepishly come out, making excuses. Everyone agrees to act as if they saw or heard nothing. Once outside the office, Alya behaves like a girl who just confessed to her crush and runs off in embarrassment. In a different classroom, Nonoa is sitting with her friends when Masachika approaches her to speak privately. They go into an empty classroom where Masachika asks for her help in restoring Sayaka's image. He suggests spreading a rumor to explain why Sayaka left that day. Nonoa asks if that won't bring his victory into question, but Masachika doesn't mind that. Nonoa agrees to help, believing she should clean up her friend's mess anyway, and then takes her leave. Once again, Masachika uses his observation haki to find Ayano and Yuki, who are hiding behind the teacher's desk. Yuki explains that they noticed him approaching an enemy and decided to eavesdrop. Unfortunately, Masachika sees through her lie, so Yuki confesses that they were pretending to have a secret meeting, unaware that an actual meeting would happen there. Just then, Alya finds them, but misunderstands the situation and decides to give them privacy. Masachika tries to stop her, but she walks away. away. Yuki takes the opportunity to tease him. As usual, upon returning to her class, Nonoa starts a rumor that Sayaka only ran away because she was upset over Nonoa's plants in the audience. Meanwhile, Masachika explains himself to Alia, like a boyfriend caught doing something sus. Alia doesn't buy his excuse, so he gives up. He then suggests they study together after school. After school, they're studying in the student affairs office with Alia sitting too close to Masachika. He thinks to himself that it's fine as long as nobody sees them. The universe smirks, and just then, the door opens to Yuki and Ayano. Yuki immediately starts teasing her brother. Both girls walk into the room, and Yuki asks if they can join. Alia refuses in Russian, but when Masachika asks, she says it's fine, then adds in Russian that she'd rather be alone with him. Masachika almost loses his cool at how adorable she is. As they continue studying, Alia notices that Masachika has just been reading the solutions. Masachika explains that it's easier to cram the solutions than to understand the process of solving them. Ayano and Yuki confirm that this is just his style of studying. Masachika then asks Ayano if there's anything she doesn't understand and offers to explain it to her, but Ayano refuses. While they're chatting, Alia notices something odd and asks if they are really just childhood friends. Masachika says they are and asks why she is curious. Alia replies that they seem unusually close for childhood friends. At that moment, Maria walks in and goes straight to making her divine tea for everyone. She discovers a book Masachika claims was confiscated from someone. It's about hypnosis. Maria wants to try getting hypnotized. Despite her pleas, Alia refuses to do it, so Maria turns to Masachika, who agrees to help. Following the instructions in the book, Masachika begins to read out the commands. He instructs her to fall into a deep slumber when he claps his hands, and surprisingly, it works. Everyone is shocked. Masachika quickly checks the book for how to undo the hypnosis. He recites the command and touches her shoulder, causing Maria to wake up. She asks why he stopped after saying he would clap his hands. Masachika is shocked that she doesn't remember. Alia remains skeptical, so Yuki suggests that she should also get hypnotized to confirm if it's true. Alia agrees to the idea. Masachika proceeds with the hypnosis again, and Yuki wonders why Maria is getting hypnotized again. Then she has a mischievous idea. She suggests that he should make them completely unrestrained and have them stripped. Ayano suggests revealing their deepest, darkest secrets, which Yuki says is also part of being unrestrained, so they decide to go with that. Yuki takes it upon herself as the evil mastermind to say the command. Both girls immediately stand up and begin approaching Masachika. It turns out to just be head pats. Maria is giving both Masachika and Alia infinite head pats. Suddenly, Alia stands up and starts taking off her clothes. Maria joins her. Masachika panics and tries to snap Alia out of it, but it doesn't work. Yuki tries as well. Same result. The siblings stand there, panicking and unsure of what to do. Just then, Chizaki walks in, looking confused at the scene before her. Yuki quickly explains everything. Without hesitation, Chizaki performs a reset karate move that puts the girls to sleep. Alia and Maria wake up on the couch confused. Yuki suggests they get dressed first, and it's only then that they realize their current state. They scream, while Masachika looks away innocently. Chisaki approaches him, offering him a reset as well for seeing the girls unclothed. At home, Masachika struggles to focus on studying. He keeps getting distracted by the thought of his favorite anime about to air. He realizes that he has forgotten how to put in the work. Just then, his phone rings. It's Alia. Masachika answers the call and teasingly asks if she called because she missed him. Alia responds in Russian, asking what's wrong with that. She then explains that she called to check if he's studying since he mentioned he tends to slack off when he's alone. Alia proposes a bet. First, she asks him about his goal for the exams, to which Masachika replies that it's to place in the top 30 for their grade. Alia says that if he meets that goal, she will grant him one wish, anything he wants. However, if he fails, he will have to do whatever she asks. Masachika accepts the bet. Somehow, the topic of their ages comes up and Alia insists that they are the same age. Masachika disagrees, pointing out that she was born in November while he was born in April and has already turned 16. Alia falls silent, prompting Masachika to conclude and end the call. Alia actually called because she was spooked by a scary movie. Now she's offended that he didn't tell her about his birthday. 5 days later, after the exams, Masachika suggests they walk home together to discuss the closing ceremony. Alia agrees coldly. On the way home, Masachika notices something is off. Alia hasn't flirted with him in Russian since that phone call. When she tries to bring up the closing ceremony, he interrupts her to ask why she's been acting differently. Alia complains that he cared enough to notice but didn't invite her to his birthday party. Masachika denies having a party, but Alia finds it hard to believe. Eventually, she realizes that birthday parties aren't as common in Japan as they are in Russia. Masachika teases her about wanting to celebrate with him so badly. Alia explains that in Russia, not inviting someone to your birthday party sends a clear message that you're no longer friendly with them. Just as Alia is about to walk away, Masachika asks her to celebrate his birthday with him, even though it's 3 months late. He wants them to remain friendly. Alia smiles slightly, and they continue their walk. The next day, they meet up as planned. Masachika is stunned by Alia's outfit. While walking to their destination, he notices people doing double takes at her. Alia says it's the price of being beautiful. Masachika assumes she must get hit on a lot, and Alia confirms it, especially on weekends. She mentions that she deals with it by rambling in Russian until they walk away. Masachika is relieved to know she doesn't handle it with violence, but when Alia asks what he was thinking, he casually replies that he's just glad she doesn't let any pickup artist sweep her off her feet. Alia jokes about him being possessive, as if he were her boyfriend. Masachika responds that he tends to act like a boyfriend when on a date. Alia suddenly realizes it's a date and, in Russian, says that it's her first. Masachika is stunned but remains calm, thinking to himself that maybe she means it's her first date with him, because there's no way she hasn't been on a date before. They arrive at the restaurant and Masachika feels proud for choosing the right spot. However, Alia bursts his bubble by saying she already knows the place. Once seated, Masachika finally brings up the closing ceremony. He explains that first, the presidential candidates lay out their motivations and policies, followed by their running mates who state why they're backing him or her. The crucial part is that there isn't any formal polling, but there's something similar. After each pair speaks, the audience reacts, applauding for the pair they want to win, while the other pair could get total silence. Masachika can't see Alia and himself getting a reaction like Yuki will, so he suggests their goal should be keeping the gap manageable. He also suggests they should try to make their speech first, since the first pair usually gets a muted response while the crowd weighs their options. He thinks this would provide a perfect excuse, even if Yuki beats them. Alia doesn't seem pleased. Masachika brings up other options, but these aren't clean, like playing mind games with Yuki and Ayano. This doesn't sit well with Alia. She argues that it would be different if the other team tried to provoke them, but she's sure they wouldn't go that far. Masachika starts to say something, but just then, their food arrives. He makes a toast to himself, and they clink glasses before digging into their meals, both agreeing that it's delicious. Alia thanks Masachika for resolving Sayaka's situation for her. She then begins teasing him for blushing, calling him cute. She's not even hiding it behind Russian anymore. She offers him a piece of steak as a token of appreciation. Masachika notices that she gets bold when she thinks he's flustered. As he takes the steak, he remembers how she couldn't use the spoon after him last time and wonders what she'll do now. But our girl is unfazed and uses the fork right after. Masachika thinks to himself that she's got him where she wants him. After their meal, Alia pulls out a gift. Masachika is delighted and thanks her as he immediately opens it. It's a fancy mug, and he loves it. The next day at school, during the parent-teacher meeting, the student council members have a quick gathering while waiting for their parents. Maria goes to make tea as usual and declines Ayano's maid instinct to help. During the meeting, Tuya and Shizaki still manage to get romantic. Maria serves the tea and settles down, and Masachika notices that she's still bothered by the hypnosis incident. When Tuya's parents arrive, the meeting ends. Masachika offers to help Maria tidy up. While they do the dishes, Masachika apologizes for the hypnosis incident. Maria replies that it's okay since she initiated it anyway. She then asks what she did while hypnotized. Masachika tells her, and she's relieved to learn that's all she did. Now feeling bold, she confronts him about him seeing her undress. Masachika says it was unavoidable, which offends Maria, but he finds her adorable rather than intimidating. She pulls his cheeks, warning him not to embarrass a girl like that, to which he responds obediently. Maria's mother arrives, so she has to leave, and Masachika offers to finish tidying up. Now, it's just him and Yuki remaining. Yuki immediately begins teasing her brother. Oh wait, Ayano is there too. Yuki doesn't mind and accuses Masachika of being cold and distant, making him feel guilty. She's jealous of the time he spends with Alia, acting like a spoiled child despite being in school. She asks him to spoil her. Masachika sighs but agrees. He then pulls a cringeworthy act, calling her his little kitten. Yuki laughs, leaving him embarrassed and no longer wanting to continue. Yuki claims she was just kidding and tries to convince him it was cool, but he refuses to listen anymore. Just in time, his grandpa, Kuze, arrives. When Masachika goes out to meet him, he immediately questions Kuze's mafia outfit. Kuze thinks it's cool and even puts on glasses to complete the look. While they wait for their turn to meet the teacher, Kuze asks if Masachika's father is too busy to attend this time. Masachika explains that his father was just moved to the Japanese embassy in England this year, so he likely has a lot on his plate. Kuze thinks he should at least make time, but Masachika insists it's fine. Kuze begins teasing him when Alia steps out of the staff room, followed by her mother, Akemi. Kuze overreacts, embarrassing Masachika, who blamed his reaction on his obsession with Russia. Akemi steps forward, happy to finally meet Masachika. She mentions that Alia often talks about him and lights up when she does. Kuze suddenly appears in front of Alia, asking her to join their family by marrying Masachika. Masachika feels embarrassed. As Alia and Akemi leave, Akemi also teases her about marrying Masachika. After Masachika and Kuze meet the teacher, they coincidentally meet Yuki and Yumi in the hallway. Masachika is reminded of childhood memories as Kuze and Yumi greet each other. When Masachika was younger, he tried hard to please his mom. One day, he had a piano performance, but she didn't seem impressed. After that, he practiced relentlessly, so much so that his mom yelled at him to stop. Masachika wakes up with a fever, having unearthed too many painful memories. He opens his door to see who's ringing at the bell. It's Alia! Yuki told her about his cold and asked to bring him some medicine. Alia asked to be let in, mentioning that Yuki requested she nurse him, though that's not true. Once inside, she observes his room and remarks in Russian that it smells like a boy. Alia asks if he would like porridge or borscht. She recommends borscht, but Masachika doesn't want to wait 4 hours for it, so they decide on porridge instead. Alia checks a guide on how to cook porridge and notices the mug she gifted him, pleased to see that he's using it. Masachika's temperature is high when Alia returns with the porridge. He's impressed by her apron look. He takes a scoop of the porridge. It's yummy. When Alya asks where his parents are, Masachika explains that his dad is at work and there's no mom. After finishing his meal, Masachika thanks Alya and says he's going back to sleep and she can leave whenever. However, Alya insists she'll stay in the living room to study, reminding him to focus on himself first. By night, when Masachika wakes up, he thinks Alya must have left by now but is surprised to see her and Ayano engaged in a stare-down. Upon noticing him, Ayano hurriedly comes to his side asking him to lean on her. Masachika cautions her to be careful or he might get cancelled. Alya supports his statement, suggesting Ayano should back off. Ayano refuses, asserting that it's her duty as his maid. Alya points out that she is Yuki's maid, not Masachika's. Ayano stutters and claims Yuki ordered her to look after Masachika, thus it falls under her responsibilities. She tells Alya to go home and prepare for the next day. Curious, Masachika asks what tomorrow is and Alya responds that it's nothing special, just school. As she prepares to leave, she asks Ayano to take care of him and says goodbye to Masachika. Ayano then brings in the borscht that Alya made for him, which also tastes great. After taking his medicine, Masachika feels sleepy again and heads back to bed. Ayano sits by his bed like a creep, probably planning on watching him go to sleep. Masachika orders her to return to Yuki's and call it a night. She obeys. Masachika thinks to himself that he should have used that card earlier. The next morning when Masachika wakes up, Ayano is already there. He realizes he has overslept again but mentions he feels better today. Ayano is relieved and goes to prepare lunch. By the time Masachika has his first meal, school has already ended for the day. Ayano brings him his medicine as well. Something bothers Masachika. He asks to see the medicine's package. He discovers it contains stuff that make him sleepy. Masachika asks why Ayano didn't warn him about this, to which she apologizes, confirming that it was Yuki who told Alya to get him that medicine. Masachika decides to go to school. Ayano tries to dissuade him, then says that it's too late anyway. Masachika rushes to school, overhearing some students praising Yuki as their queen. Masachika is upset. He hadn't expected Yuki to make her move yet. When he finds Alya in their classroom looking sad, she apologizes for messing things up. Then she explains everything that happened. The previous morning, after Yuki instructed Alya to deliver the medicine to Masachika, Yuki invited Alya to make a guest appearance on the lunchtime broadcast the following day, pushing until she agreed. Yuki had said that Alya seemed too laid back, questioning if she was even trying to compete with her. Then, Yuki revealed her Hishoka smile and walked over like a villain, warning Alya of the danger. Alya realized that there's more to the guest appearance. Yuki advised her to be cautious, especially since it was happening while Masachika was out sick. Alya was fearless and claimed that Yuki was underestimating her. She prepared as best she could, but Yuki still caught her off guard. After school ended, Yuki first apologized to Alya for her previous attitude, saying that she didn't want their friendship to sour. Alya accepted her apology. Yuki told Alya about losing her older brother who had been very talented years ago, leaving her with the pressure of living up to her family's expectations. She explained this was her motivation for running for president. Just as the broadcast was about to go live, Yuki asked Alya why she wanted to be president. Alya was discombobulated and stuttered during the broadcast. Alya tells Masachika that it was a complete disaster. He thinks that was a clever move Yuki made. While Alya feels disappointed in herself, Masachika interrupts her. He explains that she was playing right into Yuki's hands. Yuki wasn't trying to take the lead using the broadcast. She just wanted to throw Alya off her game ahead of the closing ceremony. Alya realizes this and takes a deep breath, thanking Masachika. He smiles, strokes his chin, and then laughs, realizing Yuki got them good. Alya looks away, blushing, and says in Russian that she likes the look on his face. It suits him. A while later, they are still in the classroom. Alya admits that she doesn't have a clear answer as to why she wants to be president. She confesses she is pursuing it for herself, while Yuki has a strong reason. Masachika reassures her that it's okay if her motivations aren't as noble as Yuki's. He tells her that she is captivating, earnest, and hardworking, and encourages her to keep her chin up, assuring her that her charms in no way pale in comparison to Yuki's. Alya giggles. She says it sounded like he was professing his love to her. Masachika is flustered and denies it. Alya thanks him again, feeling her confidence returning. She realizes there's no point in comparing herself to Yuki, even though she is carrying on her late brother's spirit. Masachika can't believe his sister made Alya think he was dead. He attempts to clarify things for her, but just then, Nonoa walks in, accompanied by Sayaka. Sayaka apologizes for her recent behavior, and Nonoa does the same. Alya graciously accepts their apologies. Sayaka wants to announce her loss in the student council election, but Masachika stops her, suggesting she can repay Alya's goodwill in another way. Sayaka asks what he has in mind. Masachika shares his plan with them. Sayaka insists she won't side with their team since she still believes he should return to Yuki's team. Masachika responds that there is a reason he chose Alya, and says that Sayaka is beginning to see it too. He's right. Sayaka agrees to join, followed by Nonoa. Masachika then turns to Alya, stating they have a chance at beating Yuki. Alya is surprised, as she thought they were only aiming for a draw. Masachika says he changed his mind after Yuki's little stunt. Now, they they need to destroy her. In the school auditorium, Alia practices her speech while Masachika watches. When she finishes, he tells her that it was good enough, but Alia expresses concern about the crowd that will be present. Masachika advises her to focus on delivering her message, but Alia is unsure if she can engage the audience like he did. He responds that much of it comes from experience and suggests a trick. Alia agrees to give it a try. Yuki and Ayano join them on stage. Yuki pretends not to have done anything wrong, and Masachika warns Alia not to be fooled, saying Yuki's mask is starting to crack. Yuki asks Alia to confirm that they are still on good terms, and Alia assures her that they are. Masachika says he's happy for them, but Yuki senses that he isn't truly happy with her. Masachika denies this but goes on to talk about what Yuki did. He doesn't know if to teach her a lesson or be proud of her for the attempt. Yuki feels intimidated. Just then, Tuya, Chizaki, and Maria join them. They need to decide who will speak first tomorrow. They agree on a coin toss, but Masachika insists that someone other than Yuki or Ayano should toss the coin. If Alia guesses correctly, they get to choose the speaking order. If she guesses wrong, Yuki will choose. Maria volunteers to do it. As she tosses it, Yuki considers her options. If she goes first, she'll set the bar high and can score a decisive victory. But if she goes second, the first pair will get polite applause, and it won't be an outright domination. Although she wants to go first, she is also curious to see what Masachika will do. His intimidation was unexpected. Gravity finally wakes up and the coin lands. Alia guesses incorrectly, so Yuki gets to choose. Yuki thinks about it a bit more. She assumes that the broadcast thing is still bothering Alia, and that Masachika would want to play safe by going first for a polite applause. Finally, she decides to go first, thinking she'll crush them. Tuya confirms that Yuki will speak first, followed by Alia. Everyone agrees. The next day, after speeches from the student council members, it's time for the presidential candidates to present their speeches. Yuki appears confident as she approaches the podium. She introduces herself, receiving some support from the audience. Then she talks about one of her visions, taking students' opinions seriously and fulfilling their wishes. She doesn't fail to mention her experience as a middle school president and her current role as an officer in high school to add credibility to her claims as she ends her speech. The audience is impressed and applauds loudly. Ayano follows Yuki with a calm speech, pointing out several strengths that Yuki possesses. Meanwhile, Aya and Masachika realize the other team truly came prepared to stomp them. However, Masachika is also ready. When it's Alia's turn, the students are still clapping and talking among themselves. She starts her speech, but it isn't until they realize that she's speaking in Russian that they quiet down to listen, confused written all over their faces. Seeing that she has their attention, Alia switches to Japanese and apologizes for her use of Russian, blaming it on her nervousness. The students finds this amusing. This was the trick Masachika suggested during their practice sessions, and it worked. Alia introduces herself and delivers her speech, portraying herself as a very hardworking individual who supports teamwork. She acknowledges that she may not have a strong track record and might lack in certain areas, but she urges the audience to watch her grow into the president they deserve. As her speech ends, the students begin to applaud, many rising to their feet. Masachika praises her performance. It's now his turn. Masachika takes the stage, taking on the character of a jovial vice president and making jokes. He then addresses the burning question: why did he leave Yuki for Alia? Masachika explains that it's not about experience or mental strength, it's about charisma. He describes Alia as straightforward and her speech as genuine and heartfelt. He believes she is the right person for the presidency and asks for the students' support. He announces that when Alia becomes student council president, Sayaka and Nonoa will join her as officers. Yuki does not look pleased. The other students are surprised and impressed, and they applaud enthusiastically as the team takes their bow. Backstage, Alia thanks Sayaka and Nonoa for their support and promises not to let them down. She feels confident. Yuki's motivation will not overshadow her anymore. Meanwhile, Yuki accepts her defeat for now, just for today. Unfortunately, Masachika did not make it into the top 30, but Alia came in first and Yuki second. He is not too disappointed. As they leave school, he asks what she wants for their bet, but Alia hadn't thought about it. She thought he would win. At their lockers, he suggests she start calling him by his first name. It becomes terribly awkward as Alia tries it, but they agree to go with it. Once outside, Masachika nervously asks if they can meet up during summer break to prepare for the election. Alia gladly agrees.